Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and I've made it no secret that I'm an anime fan. Quite a big anime fan. I've seen well over 350 series. Even did a couple years ago a challenge to see if I could watch 100 full anime series in a year. Spoiler alert, I completed it. And one of my top 10, if not top 5, probably top 5, favorite anime of all time is Rurouni Kenshin. Now, there's been an announcement for a 2023 reboot with new animation and basically bringing Rurouni Kenshin to a new, younger generation. A second trailer was released a couple days ago. I have not seen it because, well, I'm not exactly excited for this reboot. But I thought maybe I should go ahead, watch it, give a reaction, and then give my thoughts overall. So, let's go ahead and start. Okay, so it looks like it's going to cover some of the Samurai X stuff, which wasn't in Rurouni Kenshin. It was more shown occasionally in flashbacks, but Samurai X being, at least that's how it's marketed here in the West, the, prequel to Rurouni Kenshin shows him as the Manslayer. This definitely had some blood there, which, again, was rarely in Rurouni Kenshin itself back in the 90s. I wonder if they're going to be doing the whole story in one go. Let's see. Alright, so that look right there, those are the eyes of Batosai the Manslayer. So yeah, I assume, again, that's the route they're going. There we go. Actually, I wonder if I noticed. Hold on, did I? They changed the font to have this red hue, this red glowing effect outline, which I don't know what this says, but I like the idea that it is to symbolize the change from the Manslayer to Kenshin the Wanderer. Maybe I'm reading into it too much since I can't read Japanese. Okay, Kamiya Kashin style. I like Miss Kaoru's voice. She sounds good. Alright, I gotta admit, Kenshin sounds pretty great too. He's got this kind of boyish charm, despite the fact that he's, a guy in his 20s. He has this happy sound to his voice, which we all know is a mask that he puts on because of his, need for atonement. I like the direction there. Okay. Yahiko sounds awesome. Sounds like a petulant street kid, which is what he is. So we're getting the whole cast. I assume I know who we're gonna get next. We'll see. But I do like Yahiko. He might actually even be the best so far. There he is, my boy, Sanosuke Sagara, Zanza, my bad man. Oh. Full disclosure, he is my favorite character. I want to get into shape so I can cosplay him. He sounds excellent. They all sound excellent. Alright. So, my thoughts. Well, I suppose I should start by saying I'm not a fan of this idea. I love Rurouni Kenshin, and I think the original anime, for the most part, did everything pretty much perfect. In fact, even the live-action movies did things pretty much perfect, which is really, really rare for live-action anime adaptations. But I'm serious, if you have not watched the live-action Rurouni Kenshin films, all 5 of them, I think only 2 of which are on Netflix, which is the last 2, I would watch the first 3 first. Buy them on Blu-ray if you have to, rent them from Roku, whatever. They're fantastic. The choreography is some of the best sword choreography I've seen literally on film. I might have to do a review of those, actually. Anyway, it doesn't need it. The animation isn't even all that dated. Yeah, it's not done with a bunch of computers like a lot of modern animation is. It does look its age. It looks like it came out in the late 80s, early 90s. But it's not cheap. It's just all hand-drawn. And I don't think they're doing a good job of replicating that with the new animation style, with the new art direction. Do the characters look like the characters? Yes. But when you have a series like Rurouni Kenshin that is set in a very specific time period, the Meiji era, which is around the 1860s, if I recall, it's only enhanced by it being entirely hand-drawn in the original. Having this new sleek animation, it's not only not fitting of the time period, but it looks cheap. I mean, you can tell looking at it there's a budget behind it. But when it looks the same as every other anime with a budget behind it, when it looks just as nice as Demon Slayer, or when it looks just as nice as My Hero Academia, it doesn't set it apart. Now, obviously, art is not what's going to be the only deciding factor in setting things apart when it comes to anime. There's plenty of great anime that do hold up that were from that time period or before. One of my favorite anime of all time, literally my third favorite, top 3, is called Legend of the Galactic Heroes. That started in the 80s, finished in the 90s, and if you're going to watch it, good luck. It is over 300 episodes, or almost 300 episodes, and it was never dubbed because there's over 300 characters, and they just think it couldn't be done. Now, they did try to remake it relatively recently, and it's literally my least favorite anime of all time. They destroy the source material, they don't let certain characters shine, the voice casting is awful, even the name pronunciation is wrong. They call the main character Yang when it's Yang. He's supposed to be Chinese. YA makes the yaw sound. It was Yang Wen-li, but the anime calls him Yang Wen-li because Japanese YANG would be Yang. It's just, there's a lot of missteps, and it was abysmal. I'm worried that's going to happen here as well. We also kind of saw it happen with Dragon Ball Super. Now, I love Dragon Ball Super, and I think for the most part, it did stay true to form in its characters, but you could definitely tell some things have changed since the original Dragon Ball Z manga in the 80s, and of course the anime that followed, or the 90s if you're, here in America, which I was. But this isn't to talk about Dragon Ball, or this isn't to talk about Legend of the Galactic Heroes, even though I strongly recommend them. It's to talk about Rurouni Kenshin. What can you really do that hasn't already been done? Since it was done so brilliantly and perfectly the first time, why do it again but prettier? I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If anything, it's going to lose something. You want to know what was done again but prettier a few years ago on Netflix? An all-CGI remake of Mewtwo Strikes Back. And it lost every bit of that movie's charm when you realize, oh, this doesn't look good and the story's not good. The flaws in the story really showed when it wasn't at least charming to look at. Now, obviously, Rurouni Kenshin is a far more flawless story than something like Pokemon, the movie Mewtwo Strikes Back, but the point remains the same. You have nothing to gain except looking prettier, but you have everything to lose if it's adapted incorrectly. Now, if they were going to pick up the series where it left off because the manga kept going, that would be one thing. I could get into that because it's furthering the story. But this is just going to be retelling a story we already know. It's already abundantly available on streaming. Granted, the Hulu dub is atrocious, so I would watch it in Japanese if you can. Or if you're going to watch it in English, find the English dub that actually pronounces things correctly. Calls him Batosai the Manslayer, not Batosi Mankiller or whatever it was they called him. It's, again, the Hulu dub is atrocious. But yeah, I don't see a reason for it. Just like I didn't see a reason for the Shaman King remake, and it also wasn't very good. I mean, it was more true to the original than maybe the 4Kids dub from when I was a kid. But it kind of just reminded me that show wasn't that good to begin with, even if you get it more accurate to the source material. It just goes to show America isn't the only ones that are going through this crisis of remakes and reboots. It's happening in Japan as well. Thankfully, Japan has a whole lot more original IPs that we can go off of and engross ourselves in, both anime and film, live action, anything. The world of Japan is abundant for its originality and things that we just don't see here in America. I think I'm just going to spend my time going hard on those than I will be with this. Well, the other part of me says, well, maybe I should at least watch this to give a full review and not just stick to my snap judgments of how it looks off the cuff. But as it currently stands, I'm not excited for it. I want to be excited for it because I love Rurouni Kenshin. I think it's genuinely one of the greatest anime and manga ever made. Say what you will about the controversy between the mangaka, separate the art from the artist if nothing else. I really want to like this. I want to be excited for it. But I am nothing but disheartened even after that trailer. I said the voices sounded great. But if that's the best I can get from a trailer, technically the second trailer, that is the second trailer that's dropped. If the best I can get is, yeah, their voices sound good, well, the voices sounded good in the original, I'll just watch the original. And I have, multiple times. But tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Are you excited for this? Did you even watch the original? If you didn't, I'm not going to judge. And if this is what gets you into Rurouni Kenshin, I'm not going to judge there either. Do you agree with me that this is unnecessary? Do you prefer this animation to hand-drawn animation? There's so many things that you can say in the comments, so many questions you can pose, and I want to read and respond to any and all of them. Also, please follow me on Twitter @BoltTheWord, and if I have one ask that I really want you to do, it is subscribe to this channel because I'm really trying to grow it. I try to cover nerdy news, anything that has to do with drama, anime, Magic the Gathering, politics. With that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here. This has been Words of Paradise.